Mount, 55 million. He seems unsure where to play him. Anthony, 85 million. Not good enough, really, for their expenditure, bearing in mind he only seems to kick with 1 foot. Højlund, 60 million. Unfair shouldering the number 9 burden on him and not having an alternative. Amrabat hasn't settled. Anana's 42 plus add-ons. Martinez, 57. Injured, has been good, but missed half a year since the World Cup and is rash. Casemiro, 52 million. He's going to be 32
Real Madrid
in
are laughing
February.
all the way to the bank.
Malacia, 15 million, but he's back up really. Nothing more than that. What do you think of the spending?
I think the recruitment's been subpar. I think when you look at what Jurgen Klopp spent with the last 400 million Liverpool have spent in comparison, and you see what I'm a Liverpool fan, as everyone knows, so I'm sorry to bore people repeating that, but I said
it's taken Darwin Núñez a little bit of time to get his head.
A year, but he still has 22 goals and 37 appearances.
Yeah.
It has taken him a while, but what's Klopp done with him? He brought him in, taken him out. Brought him in, taken him
and
out.
The centre forward
Anthony's played how many games?
And granted, in the centre forward that United have just bought the argument that he's too much.
I like him, but it'll take time.
You ask a centre forward, would you like more competition for your number 9 spot? And he'd say, no, thank you very much. I'd like to be number 9 myself. So this argument that actually hasn't got enough support behind him.
Núñez is competing with 5 people.
Yeah,
now.
I'm talking about the Man United centre forward. Yeah, you've got more strength and depth. I mean, the argument about scale of finances, right? I mean, people are arguing and offended by what Chelsea have spent or worried about what Chelsea have spent. At this moment in time, I don't think Todd Bowley spends, so I don't think we need to worry on his behalf. The idea that there was 2 comparisons in his calls. The comparison to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was given 3 years, then so should he. So what? You want to replicate the past, and you know that was a mistake, so you do it again in the future. And the sentiment of a 5-year plan, listen, nobody gets the opportunity and the luxury of managing Manchester United and suggesting that they're going to take 5 years to rebuild it. Nobody gets to be the CEO of a major bank and tells you that they're going to be doing nothing in the here and now, but in 5 years' time they'll land you with the projects. You've got to get a bit of both. Yeah. You've got to have the here and now mentality, which they did last year. And now we're in the reality of Man United and Man United fans and football fans per se, and media, more so media. It's not what you've done for me previously, it's what you've done for me lately.
Correct.
And right now, the argument about Manchester United, I'm not in the camp of sacking Ten Hag. I don't believe Ten Hag is going to lead you to overtake Klopp and lead you to overtake Guardiola, who you put in that boardroom and who you put in their recruitment department, because I don't think he's got that X factor to take you to a different level. Do I think he should be sacked? I think he's sailing close to the wind with recent performances, and if he continues that, then he will get sacked.
Their game against Fulham is live tomorrow, live on talkSPORT. There are 3 players that need dropping, says Phil. Rashford, he sulks. Fernandes, hot-headed. Petulant. Anthony, Martial and Sancho. That's more than 3. You've done this to Ole Gunnar Sar.
Half of them don't play, do they?
So you can't discipline people who can't discipline themselves, and the manager has made some foul-ups too. Sam, you've got to stick with these players. We'll do it again. New manager won't change a thing. Backing a manager is more than buying a player. It's
but look
also
how the
selling.
narrative spins.
Ask Simon, is that book worth a read?
But look at the narrative spins, right? People agreed with the fact that Maguire wasn't performing very well, and they admired the fact he bombed him, and he was playing for England, and he was the club captain, but Ten Hag didn't muck about. Now all of a sudden the media are writing stories about how badly Maguire's been treated. This is the narrative that Man United managers have to work with, but it doesn't alter the fact that you walk into that job, you better be good enough to do it, otherwise you're going to find yourself in short order.
You can blame the media if you like.
It's one of the best jobs in the world.
I'm observing, not blaming, observing.
All right, we can point to the media's failings, but the truth is if you have a go at someone for not being disciplined and then don't demand discipline on the playing field, for example, your wingers tracking back, Are you prioritising the right level of commitment?
You also look at the argument that we put in football terms, like Pardew was describing the way that Man United want to play, and this argument that, of course, if they recruited the Ajax manager, they didn't recruit the Ajax manager because he plays like Peterborough. They recruited the Ajax manager.
You want to see the way we play recently?
I have seen.
It's a lot better than United are playing.
Fine, fair enough, all levels.
That's not that
but my
difficult,
point is,
that
Pardew's talking about the way
football.
that United set up and the way that Rashford's playing very wide, which makes it much more difficult for him to track back. So the arguments about why these players aren't doing it, because Danny Murphy will sit here and make a very cogent and coherent argument about there's no consequence for United players like Rashford and other players that aren't doing their jobs, that aren't working hard enough. But if they're not set up and the manager isn't demanding that of them, then it's a false equivalency. It's a false equivalency that people are judging them by. And you're suggesting, I think, in that little analysis, that Maguire was kicked out of the side because of a lack of discipline. Is that the point you made?
I
was talking about Maguire. You brought up about the idea about lack of discipline, and then you equated it to the performances on the pitch. Did I hear that right, Darragh?
No, you are fully correct there,
Yeah, right.
I'm shocking.
You were talking about the overall approach of Erik ten Hag, and I was saying to you, it's okay being disciplined off the field and asking people like Jadon Sancho to say sorry to you, but actually you need to demand more of the players on the pitch if you're going to have...
you only have to say sorry because you opened your trap in the media and forgot your place in the food chain, which is player.
Let's wrap this up in this way. Until they get a best-in-class, something Simon always likes to say, director of football, who can bring and recruit his own manager in with a philosophy and a plan and tell everybody what that plan is, we're going to be back here in 2 years with a new manager. Come in, one season bounce, probably win a trophy, back in the Champions League, same set of players sulking a year later, same problems. I'd like to see a reset from scratch.
Which is what Ray says on the text messages and what Lee in Cumbria has said pretty much.
There's no genuity in that because he's a Liverpool fan. He's more than happy with Manchester United bottom feeding right now.
Well, they're 11 points off Spurs, their worst home start since 1930, the first time in 61 years where they've lost back-to-back games by 3 or more goals. They're out of the Carabao Cup, and it's their worst defensive record since 1966. What can they do tomorrow when they take on Fulham? You'll find out live on talkSPORT. It kicks off at 12:30. We're there from 11.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.